On a first glance of Amsterdam, I'm looking at this project going, what could go wrong with it? I'm sure many of you could answer that in the comments. Granted, I'm a bit late in covering this project. I've been saying for a little while. I'm in a catch-up phase with pretty much all of my content. There's so many projects I've wanted to consult for a while, and I'm now getting around to Amsterdam. In part, I am a bit spurred on because I just recently borrowed this film from the library. It's sitting upstairs, in fact. It's due tomorrow. My goal is to watch it probably, well, tomorrow. Return it later that day. But I was curious of it. In part, when I saw it at the library, I knew it was a new release. But I'm interested to gauge it for myself. Because I knew the premise sounded pretty rich. At least right now when I read it, I would, if I were going to the movie, walking in right now, I consider it a project of strength. But even before, today, I consider all the names here in this cast list. Christian Bale, John David Washington, Andrea Riseborough, Anya Taylor-Joy, I love her, Alessandra Nivola, Chris Rock, Michael Shannon, Taylor Swift, Timothy Olyphant, Zoe Saldana, Rami Malek, Robert De Niro. This thing is loaded with names that I love watching. Very talented actors, Margot Robbie as well. And I did intentionally save her for last, in part to attribute that everybody seems to be blaming her. I mean, I don't know. I understand people are rushing to that conclusion because Babylon failed as well. I mean, I don't think she's like a jinx in the movie, though. I don't think that in any way. I've really liked what I've seen of Margot Robbie. I think she's a great actress. Maybe she's been in some clunkers of projects, but I don't necessarily think it's all her fault. And maybe she's got a bad performance here. Again, I can't necessarily judge on efficacy because I haven't seen any look at this movie yet. I'm taking a first glance of view. I'm just surprised that Amsterdam didn't seem to have much life to it, and it seemed to be rushed out, in regards to public viewership, whether it be in the digital market or, like I said, my library had it on display like very recently in terms of physical copy. I was kind of surprised by the turnaround and how quick that was. But I'm interested to gauge it for myself. Maybe I won't have a good experience, or maybe I will. Maybe I'll be, cinema is subjective, as entertainment is, broadly speaking, for everybody. Some people like projects that others don't. Maybe I'll like Amsterdam. Again, I look at this list of names and I'm like, you've engaged me right there. I mean, this thing is just, it's so dense with people. Anyway, the pitch itself, like I said, sounds pretty interesting. If you've not heard of Amsterdam before, you haven't consulted it like me, maybe many of you have heard of it, but you just haven't taken a deeper look, this is the official IMDb pitch. In the 1930s, three friends witness a murder or framed for it and uncover one of the most outrageous plots in American history. See, it sounds like a fun mystery, drama, thriller, sounds sophisticated, good presentation. I can think it'd be quite a competent story, and again, when you're boasting this level of talent, what's not to assume you'll be great? Apparently, I guess the movie wasn't. It's already on distribution, by the way, widely speaking. Maybe your local library doesn't carry it yet like mine does. If you want to watch it, it's on HBO Max apparently right now, or I guess you can rent it as well digitally, or maybe you can purchase it. I don't know if it's available. Well, I'd assume it's available for purchase if my library was carrying it. Anyway, let's engage this piece. Maybe I'll see for myself the answer as to why this project. Maybe this story isn't engaging enough. I don't know, but I read a pitch like this, and I'm like, you sound pretty good there, and I think of all the talents you have lined up here, we're looking at a project of a lot of advantage. Apparently not. At least from what I understand, but maybe I'll like this. Or maybe I won't. Let's get a better perspective for ourselves. And, maybe you're somebody, like I said, maybe many of you have seen Amsterdam, maybe you made your consideration on your reviews themselves, or maybe many of you haven't engaged with it yet. There's so many different projects out there that are constantly vying for viewership. Maybe we're all in the same boat here. Let's take a look for Amsterdam ourselves. Now it's available for wider distribution, so anybody can watch it. You don't have to, go pay a fee at a theater. If you already have a streaming service, you can watch it that way. Maybe that's what some of you have been waiting to do. I don't know. Let's take a look at this for ourselves, and I'll get a prize to it, officially.
Harold, I don't know what you think you're doing. Excuse me. Hello. Got a dead white man in a box. Not even a casket. Doesn't even have a top on it. In a pine box of old wood.
It has a historical portrayal I find quite charming. It's a large part due to the color balance, the music choices. It feels aged. I like, classic-esque works.
Things starting a long time ago. So, two soldiers and a nurse found ourselves in
Amsterdam.
We formed a pact, and we swore to protect each other, no matter what.
It's an interesting pairing.
We find ourselves in a situation where we're accused of killing someone, which is not true.
You and Woodman fled the scene.
The killer pointed at us.
We didn't do anything. Why would you possibly think that was us?
Well, there's not too many people that fit the description of a doctor looking for his eye on the ground with his black attorney.
Columbia Law School.
I mean, the story comes across me like it has a slower delivery, but I enjoy,
My friend was.
you don't always have to have a frenetic pacing to engage with an audience. Sometimes you get that digestible story that is a more rewarding experience.
You're gonna have to take my lead getting out of this. I had to stab a guy. I had to hit a lady with a brick one time.
What?
It's a long story, but with you two, it'll be a cakewalk.
These are dangerous times.
You be careful.
I'm about to do something that could cost me my life.
The cuckoo is in the nest and the cuckoo's about to be trapped.
Cuckoo?
I mean, I look at this, again, long list of names, and I'm thinking, you've got a winner here. I'm just surprised.
This is one of the finest innovations from Zurich. It removes all pain. Guys like me, we have to turn to booze, the morphine, and that can lead to addiction. Oh, that's fast. That's advanced.
I mean, maybe some of the delivery, at least on the comedy, comes across a bit awkward in portrayal, but I think that's sort of the intention of engaging with it properly. Maybe it's just that, and I understand this. Not all of the cinematic fare offered in the theater these days is attractive, right? I get it. Some projects don't gel well with an audience. And there's a lot of projects these days. I mean, maybe it feels like you're constantly going to the movie theater. I get it. I do. I mean, I cover a lot of work. I consult a lot of work. I understand. There's a lot of projects I don't make it to seeing. Or sometimes I'll watch it later. But there's experiences that I've had that maybe depart from the audience perspective a bit. General consensus. Like Amsterdam, maybe I'll like this. In the same way that I would say I recently watched, way different genre here, but Moonfall. I understand that one as well didn't perform too well. But I like Roland Emmerich movies. And I actually thought the film had some creative invention in terms of sci-fi portrayal of a story that we've seen sort of done before, but we've done so many things. I'm not trying to derail too much on a tangent with Moonfall, but just as an example, I thought the story was kind of inventive. I did think there was a bit of a fresh presence to it, especially on the disaster film side. Like, that movie has great visual effects. But I thought the story angle was kind of interesting as well, in a way that it fascinated me. So it can get past that hurdle of this didn't necessarily do well in theaters, where I'm still in a position of, I like it. I'd actually in part like to see the story continue. I'd like to see some more time spent with it. Amsterdam? This is probably a one-off, but I watch this and I see an experience that perhaps takes some more time to get used to. It reminded me a bit, I don't know if there's a connection point any way to make. I just sense a similar viewing experience. For example, I went and saw Hail Caesar in the theaters, and I really liked it. Though I thought in some parts it was confusing towards the end, I still kind of mulling over it. The experience in itself with the movie, I had a fun time with its energy. And I do like projects that are based in past eras, and there's sort of a historical flair, even if the story is fresh and inventive. I like projects like that. So sometimes it takes, a project that maybe has I get it. Again, film is subjective. And not everybody likes these slower, meandering type movies where it seems that there's more attention put into the portrayal rather than, how do I say this? I see some possibilities as to why this could be disengaging to an audience. In part, I think the humor style comes across a bit unnecessarily awkward. I think that could have. I think you could portray the humor in a stronger dynamic than what was displayed here. But I'm just hypothesizing here in regards to the general audience. Maybe a part of this was not everybody likes a slower, meandering viewing experience. Or it might just be that the film wasn't good. It might be there's just so much cinematic fare available these days that Amsterdam just kind of fell short of it. I could understand that. Maybe it'll do very well on streaming and in physical media. Maybe people will rent this thing. I mean, like I said, going into this, I'm looking at this long list of names, and I'm like, what could go wrong? I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. Sometimes you never know how a movie will do, but it'd be quite the experience in itself just watching a film evolve in its presence. Maybe I'll like Amsterdam. I don't know. Like I said, I've got it upstairs waiting for me to watch, but I wanted to give you a first consultation with it in particular because I had not looked at it really at all other than the cast list. And I'd be interested to hear what your thoughts are down below. Did you watch the movie while it was in theaters? Did you like it? Did you not? What was your take? I'm open to hearing whatever you have to say. Or were you like me and you've just waited till this project's been available in another form? But that wasn't necessarily the reason. I mean, I tend to cover a lot of art, a lot of films these days, a lot of projects. So for me, some projects just get buried over time. I just didn't make it to the theater to watch Amsterdam. I wonder if it's anybody else's similar story. I'd love to hear down below if you wish to disclose your perspective on it, what your thoughts are on Amsterdam. I mean, it's over a 2-hour experience. It could be entertaining, it might not. I mean, we'll see. Maybe we'll talk about Amsterdam in the future, upon reflection of it as an entire work. But when I watch this, I see traits that still, despite the response in mind of what happened to its arrival, I still see some promise. A bit. Maybe it'll be like Hail Caesar, and the experience itself will confound me in the story's portrayal. I'm still kind of reeling over that one to this day of like, what exactly, happened towards that ending? It wasn't what I was expecting anyway, but I enjoyed the experience, especially watching it in theaters. I had a great time. It was fun. I was also surrounded by, that was Deadpool night. I didn't go see Deadpool. My friend went with me, and we were the only 2 young people in a crowd of seniors, so it was kind of funny. I know. One girl came with her grandparents. But, the experience was fun. Maybe I'll have a similar situation of Amsterdam. Maybe I will be on like everybody else, seemingly, and adore this movie. We'll see. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.